Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. I'm so sorry about that. For some reason, I was having a mic issue. My system has been kind of a mess the past few days, but let's dive right in. So, Radar Online reported a few minutes ago that Andrew Glennon will be returning to Teen Mom OG. So, and then there's been a lot in the press yesterday about a motion filed by Amber Portwood that Andrew Glennon was denying Amber parenting time with their son James. I have all the details from a source connected to Andrew, and I'm about to lay it all out for you. The tea is going to be hot and boiling, so let's get up and going. So, the elephant in the room is Andrew going to return to Teen Mom OG? Yes. My source tells me that Andrew agreed to return to Teen Mom OG, and MTV flew out last night. There were reports that they filmed at Amber's home in Indianapolis. Our source says that is not true. They did not film there. They did not disclose, though, where the filming was done. But they were adamant the filming was not done at the home. In regards to what was filmed, I was told that they filmed an interview, and it's up in the air in terms of whether or not he will move forward with more episodes. At this point, they have filmed once, and that was last night. When asked why, after stating that he had not wanted to return, why would he return to the show? And my source said that Andrew is tired of people not knowing the truth about him, maybe a little bit fearful that if he's not there, that his story will not be told accurately, and wants to make sure that he can be represented, that he can speak out, that he can share his side with the world, so that it's not a situation where Amber might be able to, paint a certain picture. So he's doing this to make sure that he and James are represented on the show. Now, James will not be filming, from what I understand at this point. So that's true that he has returned. Now, we don't know if there'll be other episodes, but that part of it's done, and I think it could be related to, in part, what's been going on in the court as to why he might want to be going back onto the show, because it appears that Amber might be trying to use the media at this point to potentially put out information to smear or to cause a public shift away from Andrew onto her. Because yesterday, Radar Online stated that they were able to obtain a document from the court related to a motion filed by Amber. Now, I must state that the custody case in general is a closed case. Being able to get documents from the case would be difficult without somebody connected to it. So they were stating that Amber claimed that, based on what they obtained, they did not say where they obtained this paperwork. They said that Amber claimed that Andrew was denying her parenting time, that Andrew was not responding on the parenting app, that he was speaking about her publicly, which was defied the no contact order or a agreement, some sort of court order. So what's the actual truth? Well, a source connected to Andrew tells us that Amber is completely blowing this all out of proportion, and that there is no concern that what Andrew is doing is defying any sort of court order. In fact, according to our source, there's absolutely no court order that prevents Andrew from speaking publicly. The only thing that's in place is a mediation agreement, which states that neither parent is able to speak negatively about the other in front of their child. According to the source, there's no agreement in there that states that they cannot speak free speech to the public, only in front of James. So, with that being said, in regards to Sean Portwood was on Twitter yesterday stating that Andrew was defying the no contact order in a tweet, which is actually not true. according to our source and how no contact orders work, there's actually the only person that is prohibited from talking about anything is Amber. So according to the no contact order, Amber is not allowed to speak about Andrew or contact him or speak to Andrew through her any sort of communications, whether phone, text, in person. She's supposed to stay away from him. She is not to contact him through third parties. She's not to contact him through social media. And she's not to talk about him on social media. Andrew doesn't have a no contact order. So therefore, he's not prohibited from speaking about Amber publicly, though he denies that he has been saying anything that's negative and rather states that he has just been sharing his side of the story, according to our source. So what about this whole mess with Andrew's withholding the child and he's not responding? Well, and the source denies that he's withholding James from Andrew due to that no contact order. The two of them are using an app called the Family Wizard. Amber claimed in her filing with Radar Online that he's not responding, and the two are also were also, as a part of the mediation agreement, to agree upon a parenting coordinator to supervise visits for Amber. According to our source, attempts by Andrew to find a parenting coordinator with Amber were not successful. A list had been sent through attorneys, according to our source, and Amber did not respond. And once that was made, because the mediation agreement states that she is to have supervised visitation and have someone appointed and agreed upon by the couple to supervise the visitations, and because they didn't have one yet, they had to go through the court to request that the court appoint parenting coordinators on the court's behalf for their family. The source went also on to say that reports that Amber is to receive unsupervised visitation with James is not correct, and that the mediation agreement states that supervised visitation is moving forward what they're doing. There had not been any dates agreed upon. There wasn't a parenting coordinator set up yet, and there was no way for them to set anything up without a third party to supervise Amber. Now, they are to meet with the new parenting coordinators, which were appointed by the court, and strike an agreement on custody within the next 10 days. According to court records, communications were sent out to both Amber and Andrew through the mail today in Marion County. And so, why wasn't Amber, and in terms of why wasn't Andrew responding to her on the Wizard app? Well, according to our source, this is crazy, but they say that Andrew was actually unable to log into the family app because an unknown third party actually created his username and password. He never received an email with the password. He had information for the username, never had the information for the password. The third part, and due to his inability to log in, not having the password and having an unknown third party creating this account, he could not open the app to even see messages from her. According to our source, he was able to get everything rectified with Family Wizard, and he should be able to get logged in to continue on communication with Amber to set up visitation with their son and for their son, James. Now, with all that said, will he be held in contempt of court? Completely unlikely, according to our source. According to our source, the attorneys in this case representing Andrew don't seem to think that this will be a very big deal, that it's sort of building it's a big deal. She's blowing it out of proportion, according to what they're saying. So hopefully everything will get organized. He intends that Andrew insists, according to the source, that he is not withholding her from seeing James. He wants her to see James. He wants it to be supervised per the mediation agreement. There we go. Now, moving forward, MTV insists that the story, or the Radar Online story, says that they will be using a Amber Portwood's journey to get custody of her son. That's the storyline. And the fallout from her arrest is going to be the storyline as well. Interesting. We already know that a mediation agreement came up, and Andrew was awarded 100% physical custody by the court. They shared joint legal custody. We also know the fallout from the rest was that she pleaded guilty in court, and that she was sentenced to 2.5 years of probation with a whole lot of stuff that she has to complete. Now, if that's the storyline, this could be problematic because we already know this like kind of weirds me out, you guys. Like, they're gonna make this about a journey about a mother getting custody back of her son who she's already lost custody of, and we already know why she lost custody, and she's lost custody of Leah. So is MTV gonna try to paint her as a victim in this whole situation? Because if that's the case, I can see viewers being even more agitated and less likely to tune in, because they're not going to want to see Amber victimized, playing the victim, and are going to want to see her actually taking accountability. The real victims in this case is not Amber, but it's rather James and Andrew. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Our sources say that that storyline isn't technically making Andrew happy. So now we know he's filmed once. We don't know if he'll film again. We know that the stuff with the motion yesterday was all blown out of proportion, and Andrew is unlikely to be held in contempt. We also know a mysterious third party created his username and password, making it impossible for him to log into the app. And we also know that there's absolutely no court order that says that Andrew cannot speak publicly. There was another thing that Radar said that was in their report, that cameras were in court when Amber pleaded guilty, but sources that we know connected to the case say there were no cameras in court. So if filming was done with Amber, it wasn't done in court. It might have happened outside of court, but there was no cameras in court that our sources were able to see. So with that said, we'll have to see how this all plays out. I have a feeling it's going to get a lot messier. I'm starting to see some sort of tug of wars going on here, and it's going to get a little bit dirty. And my hope is that for both parties and everyone involved, that they remember that there's a little boy in the center of this, that people can put their egos and everything aside and focus on that child that's in the middle of this. And I hope that Amber isn't using the media to smear him or to sort of flip the narrative away from the fact of what she's done, so that she can have her storyline of being the martyr mom trying to get custody of the child that was wrongly ripped away from her, which it seems as though MTV is starting to do. I don't know if I like that. I don't think that we should allow perpetrators to be victims. And I think if this is the storyline that they're going to take, I think they need to reconsider how that's going to make victims of domestic violence look. And I think that if this is the direction it's going to go, MTV is going to isolate themselves from more viewers, period. So as promised, and you guys, I see you asking about whether or not there is going to be any more audio or video released. At this point, I've decided not to. That doesn't mean that it won't or I wouldn't in the future, but for right now, I've decided I'm not going to release anything more. It's not because I've had threats or because anyone's contacted me, but rather at this point, releasing anything more wouldn't really show you anything that you haven't already seen or heard. There's nothing there that hasn't been discussed in the media, and it doesn't really help anything in the situation. And I don't want to be using my platform to simply put out stuff to feed your hungry tummies, thinking about the fact that every time something like that is released, there are children that are involved in this case, and I don't want to harm the kids anymore at this point. So let's just try to move on from that in the future. If a situation presents itself, or it's needed, or if it's necessary, maybe, but at this point, no audio or video that we will be releasing. So we are going to hang that part of it up, but I'll continue to cover the custody, the filming, the back and forth if there is, we'll do whatever we can on this end. I always have sources that can help clear up things that are in the media, so I can always, if you have questions, make sure you come to me if you see something. I have sources in the thick of it that can tell me what's going on. So right now we know that he did film. Yesterday was a motion. Her filing yesterday basically will not likely not result in him getting any contempt charges, and they're going to work with a parenting coordinator, and she has supervised visitation, and that's it. And he might film again. It's not known. All right, you guys. So I'll be back in a little while. I've been trying to think of what to do for tonight because I know you guys love your Friday nights videos, and I don't know if I'm going to go cash or if we're going to just do chit chat, or I don't know. So tell me in the comments, what do you want tonight? Make sure that you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Instagram is at Without a Crystal Ball. Twitter is WOA Crystal Ball. And for those of you that saw a little Rue that was in the chat earlier, I did reach out to Rue on Twitter, and that was not Rue. That was a fraudulent Rue. So there's a little Rue, a little puppy dog impersonator floating around these channels pretending that they are the Rue connected to Janelle Eason. That is simply not the case. And that's all I got. All right, you guys, I'll be back later. Bye.